Hey, it's Frank Hughes, Peon Pickers. I just wanted to sit there and we're going to finish up this top. I still have the door we have to cover, but I went ahead, put the piece, well, finished up the outside covering because it was all more the same. But then now what I've done the inner door, leg compartment, leg compartment. I have it all finished. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the other piece which goes inside the inside of the top, and we're going to put that in place. Now, to be honest, this is really tricky to do, but what I've done is I'm using, for those who have ever done formica countertops, what you do, you use dowels across the countertop. You put it over it, and then you pull out a dowel at a time when you're laying down the formica, which formica is a cabinet covering material. So anyway, it's the same process. And so anyway, I'm going to grab it. I think everything is dry, and then we'll go ahead with there. So let me go ahead and let me reset the camera up where it belongs. As you can see, my shop is getting very messy from this project, and I need to get it finished. So let me see. As you can tell, you see there are the dowels, and in those, not in, but they're resting on top of this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that piece of tolex, lay it over it. I'll start down here, the far end here. I'll lay that, get it aligned, and then I'll just keep going. Then I get down here, and then what I'll do is the materials, the tolex is going to stretch here, and then I'll have to take a spatula, a razor knife, and trim it, and then we'll be done. Again, the reason this is a lot harder using this with a pattern than with a black. So anyway, the other thing is, the piano could have probably been covered with 5 yards of material, and it took 6. Well, actually like 5.5-ish. So so again, if you do decide you want to use some sort of a pattern, just be aware that's going to take you a little bit longer, a little bit more material, and you're going to have to spend a little more time like cutting and making sure things line up. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and lay this in. We'll lay this on top before we lay it in. And yes, then what we'll do, okay, so we'll place it like here, place this like here. Whoops, almost touched. Now we'll go ahead and put these to help support this, and then we will start the process of laying it in. Again, the idea is just gives me the support without the material actually touching. So that's what we're going to do. So what we'll do now, we'll take it now and we're going to line it up into the corners where it belongs. And see, I think that should do it about there. Okay. And I think that worked. Okay. So you see now what I do, I move this down and I just gently, again, I'm trying to make sure this lines up nicely. So, and then we just drop this on. Again, make sure it's all lining up nicely there, and it looks like it is. Then we'll go ahead, pull it down a little bit further. Same thing here. We just don't want to have any now you saw I had pretty large overlaps for the seam. And the reason being is I want to make sure that I have room if I need to make any form of adjustment, I could do so. Speaking of that, now I need to kind of pull this a little bit more over to here. There we go. And put this here. Okay. That's going to work. And that's going to work too. And that looks really good. Okay. Now again, we're going to do the same thing. And okay, now we'll do again the same trick. Okay, I need to pull this a little bit over to here. There we go. And now let's go ahead and gently rub it down and make sure it's all in place. There we go. That looks really good. I'm almost done now. Okay. Let's go ahead now. Pull these back out. The other way you could have done this, you could have stood it up on its side and do it that way. I've done it that way before. But I kind of like this because this gives me the chance to make any more subtle adjustments if I need to. So it's just, again, either way, and there's other ways of doing it too, I'm sure. But to me, a horizontal and a vertical are the two ways that I would think about you want to do it. But I'm sure somebody's come up with a different way of doing it, which will probably surprise me, upside down or something like that. So anyway, now let me see here. And that looks really good. So, and then we're almost at the end. Then what we'll do, we probably stretch the material a hair. And in doing so, we're going to end up having too much material. And so what we'll do is we'll have to take, I'll show you using a spatula, and we'll trim it. Okay, and actually what I'm going to do, I think I'm pretty much done with this. And I can just right now take this and do this, just holding it up from one end. It looks like we're in good stead here. Okay. But again, you kind of are stretching it a little bit, but we'll find out here in just 15 seconds how much material we got to remove. And there we go. I'll be daggone. Okay, that's pretty special. I don't see. I may have to remove a hair. Not much. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we'll move a little bit here. Okay. Yeah, it did stretch a little bit on one side. So now what we'll do is we're going to take, if I find it here, handy. Actually, what I could do, if I can get my hands on it, and there it is, right back. Let me get this where you can see what I'm doing. This is something you may need to have to do. Sorry about that, guys. Here, let me raise it up a little bit. Let me do one other thing, get some more light here. And there was light. It's really not that bad on length. I'm just going to use this as an example to show you what I typically do. Okay, you see, you really can't see, but I'm going to have to trim some of that here. It stretches. Remember I told you it stretches. And I got a little bit of, let me see, it's just a little, not much. It's just a little got stretched over. So what I thought I would do is just kind of trim it. This is not needed necessarily, but it's typically, again, a way of just kind of making sure it's nice and clean. Let me see if that cut it. Okay, that does cut. It is cutting it. So now we just wanted to make sure it was cutting it. But you got to be careful. I don't want to cut all the way through into the next layer. But anyway, so that is doing what I expect it to do. So let me go ahead and let's put it where it was. That way I can kind of trim it up. Go. Okay. There we go, and now I got a nice clean line. There we go. Okay, we got it. So now I've got that trimmed. It matches all the way across here. And again, that's usually only, that wasn't egregious. Okay, so now this is finished. This piece is finished. So, which I'm pretty pleased how it turned out. And a couple of other things. One of the things I really recommend that you would do is when you're measuring, use the same way of measuring. In other words, use the same measuring tape or ruler or whatever. Be consistent. That way you don't have to worry about little changes on the end clip or whatever else. And anyway, but we got this done, and so what I'm going to do next, I will do the door, and then after that we're going to start mounting hardware. Okay, again, thank you guys.